Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Front Porch Tailgate. I'm Michael Scott.
And I'm Byron Hazley. Welcome to the 25th episode of the podcast.
That's right. We have a great show lined up for you guys today. How's it going over there, Byron?
You know, it's the winter blues. You know, we're getting hit with the snowstorm over here. I'm sure you're getting a little bit of snow, Mike, as well. That's why we're not able to link up. Waiting for the snow to melt away. I thought we got an early touch of spring last weekend, but old man winter sent us a message today letting us know he's still running things.
That's
what about
right,
you,
Byron?
Mike?
You thought wrong about spring because currently I'm frosted up like an ice cube. And let me tell you this, I am sick and tired of it. Could the thaw come now, please?
Well, I mean, hey, it was 50 Sunday.
Get on the phone with the weatherman, Mother Nature. Get on the phone with her and let her know to bring the heater because it's almost baseball season.
It is baseball season. Spring training's opened up. Colleges have played 2 series.
Spring training does not count.
Hey, these games are counting for college kids, though.
My baseball season starts on opening day when I'm getting ripped in downtown Detroit.
When's the last time you've been to opening day, man?
Like 10 years ago.
Yeah. Maybe we'll find it.
So it's been about 10 years now that I've been waiting for a day like that.
Maybe we'll just, we'll podcast live from opening day. What do you think about that?
We could definitely do that. We got to get our hands on a set of tickets, a mobile microphone. I got the speaker app on my phone. We can get it done.
Well, we don't need a mobile mic. We just need a computer. Now that we got Skype, I got a hotspot. We got Skype. We can do it live. Do it live.
We could do that in the ballpark.
I'm sure. Well,
we're going to have to find a picnic table on the Pepsi porch right next to the $5 PBR stand because I'm not paying $12 for a beer, let me tell you that.
Yeah.
What do we got lined up for today's show, Byron?
Yeah, Mike, we've got a lot going on today. I'm excited to talk. We've got the heavyweight bout. We're going to talk a little bit about that with Wilder and Fury. We got a great story here, a nice recognition story. We'll get into that a little bit later. We're going to talk some NBA, talk some NFL football, talking about the combine preview. We're going to talk about some potential non-quarterback franchise tags, and then we're going to dive into NCAA basketball and continue our conference breakdown with the Southeastern. Excuse me. The South.
Sounds like you got a little cold over there.
No, I don't have a cold. I had a little frog in my throat right there. But, yeah, the little Southeastern Conference. Absolutely. Okay. But I'm excited about this podcast. We got a lot coming your way. Can't wait to hop into it.
With that being said, let's dive right in.
All right, Mike, so let's talk about the reaction of the Wilder and Fury fight. So I'm not sure if you were able to catch any of that Saturday, but it was quite the bout. This was round 2 of them, Wilder Fury 2. The first match ended in a draw. Some questioned that, but there was no doubt who the winner was on Saturday night, and that was Tyson Fury. Did you catch any of that, Mike?
You know what, Byron? I did. Tyson Fury came to work and he laid Deontay Wilder down. My initial reaction to the fight, I was just taken back, absolutely impressed by Tyson Fury's physique. He came in at over 270 pounds, and he was looking leaner and meaner than he did in the first fight.
Oh, absolutely. So I was watching some clips because they did a follow. They were kind of following Fury and Wilder leading up to the fight, and he hired himself a personal chef. He was eating 7 or 8 meals a day, working out 3 times a day. So this guy was very focused on not having another draw, and you could tell.
Must be nice. I wish he would have gave me a call for one of those meals, because I'm starving over here. I bet you he was eating good. I bet he was eating good too. Maybe I can get on a meal list. Maybe I can get on a meal list for the third fight.
Man, this ain't the soup kitchen here. We're talking about professionals.
Hey, I bring a little something to the table, okay? It's called entertainment. So, let me ask you this. What was your reaction to the fight ending with Wilder's corner throwing in the towel?
So that was a bit surprising to me that they would just throw in the towel, you know, especially the way that Wilder speaks. He speaks about how he's a warrior, how, you know, he's going to fight to the death. You know, he constantly brings up things of that sort. And even when they threw in the towel, he came out and he said how disappointed he was that they did that. But at the end of the day, the people in your corner are there to support you. So they must have seen something that they did not like. He was obviously bleeding out of his ear, and Fury was landing blows to it. So they made the decision to call it a fight. I mean, what was your reaction to that, Mike?
It was really interesting, Byron, that you suggested that he views himself as a warrior. Because when they threw in the towel, obviously, this guy's team made the decision to let him live to fight another day. Warriors don't get down like that. Warriors fight to the death. This guy got absolutely worked. He was outmatched the entire fight. I don't know what was going on with him. Some stories have come out that he was a little discombobulated because of that big-ass, goofy-ass costume he was wearing leading up to the fight. I don't know.
40 pounds.
But what I do know is Tyson Fury came out to play.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, Tyson Fury is a complete fighter. So he... Not only is he huge, I think he's 6'9", 270 pounds, but this guy is a technician when it comes to fighting. He's a great defenseman. He watches the tape. It's like poetry in motion watching him fight. Now, Wilder, he's a guy, both of them came into this fight undefeated. They had one draw, and it was with their first fight. And Wilder's a guy that's known for knockouts. I think he has 42 victories, and 40 of them are from knockouts. He packs a heavy punch.
He's essentially the new age Mike Tyson.
Yeah, kind of, but he's taller and leaner, so he's about
and he doesn't bite people's
240.
ears off.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Tyson didn't either until he started losing. More to come.
Well, I don't know if he can. I don't know if he can reach Fury's ear. He's a pretty tall guy.
He's 6'7".
Holy shit, that's tall. So, Fury now owns 4 heavyweight title belts, right?
Correct. So, Wilder had one, and he won the one from Wilder. Now, Wilder he had earned that for years. He's held on to that title. I think he had like 31 title defenses.
Wow.
So he's held on to that for a long time. Yeah. So now, Fury has 4, and then there's another heavyweight champion who has 4. His name's Anthony Joshua, and he's also from
England.
From England. Yeah. So.
From the UK.
Correct. So I think, so I know that Wilder has already exercised the trilogy, so there will be a third Fury versus Wilder, and Wilder has come out and expressed that he would like that fight at some time during the summer of 2020. He doesn't want any opponents in between. He wants to fight him again, and relatively soon.
Yeah, he has a contract clause for an immediate rematch. I don't know necessarily if he wants to do that right now, because let's be honest, summer comes quick. Fury looks primed to ride this wave. And all of this going on, the Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua business in the heavyweight division is fantastic for boxing. This is a sport that's been starving for stars at the top of the heavyweight division, dating back probably 10, 15 years now. You know as well as I do, the Klitschko brothers got a hold of all the heavyweight titles and refused to fight each other for years, and it killed the heavyweight division in this sport.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Had it not been for this Wilder-Fury fight, most people probably couldn't even name who were the belt holders.
I completely agree with you. One thing that was really nice about this fight was to see ESPN stepping up in the fight game. You got Max Kellerman out there, always looking goofy as hell, but he, let's face it, calls a good fight, provides great analysis, breaking it down from round to round. He's a fantastic boxing analyst. ESPN getting behind this heavyweight division, I think, is really ramping things up for the sport. And I'm excited to see where it's going. I'm going to be completely honest.
Yeah, they launched the ESPN Plus, and they really realize how they can gain more dollars is through pay-per-view. So that's what they've been doing. They've been doing a lot of UFC. They got an exclusive contract with UFC, I believe, and now they're doing Premier Boxing. They always did like their Friday night, Saturday night boxing, but now they're getting some big names out there. So this is exciting to see that they're out there doing that, and yeah, it'll be good to see them have more and more coverage. Now, did you buy that fight, Mike, or were you out at the bar checking that out?
I was actually out at the bar involved in another heavyweight title fight.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, my long story short, went out with my brother and his high school sweetheart.
Oh.
Well, for anyone that knows my brother knows that you should not give that guy Jaeger.
No, man.
We made the mistake of doing a few Jaeger bombs. I got into a back and forth with an individual, but we calmed it down before anything crazy happened. Next thing you know, I look over. My brother's on top of some guy throwing a couple forearms, Conor McGregor style, right into this guy's face.
Jeez.
Apparently, the individual, who was a very tall individual, had spit a loogie into my brother's high school girlfriend's face over a dispute about one of her girlfriends.
Jeez.
Yeah, it got out of hand really quick. So basically, it was my brother and I, and the only reason I noticed it was him when the bouncers jumped all over everybody was because I saw his belly hanging out of his shirt.
Oh, wow.
I recognized the belly. I started throwing the bouncers off of him. Next thing you know, we're in the scuffle. It's like 6-on-2.
Good grief, Mike.
Got pushed out. But yeah, that's exactly how my evening went when I could have been at home watching the fight.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
And I caught all the highlights, and all I saw was Tyson Fury putting in work.
Yeah, so he actually knocked down, I believe he knocked down Wilder on 3 different occasions. Now, this was the first time that Wilder had been knocked down in 33 bouts. So it had been a long time.
Well, let me tell you, it was a long fall, and his face looked like a pancake.
Yeah, I mean, he was he was getting worked. I mean, he came out and said he had no legs from a 40-pound costume that he wore out. But hey, man, that's the choice you made. Don't give me excuses. Come out ready to fight. Don't come out wearing goofy stuff.
Right. You wanna get dressed up for Halloween, that's your business. But when you got a heavyweight belt on the line, it's not time to fuck around.
And you know what I mean? Yeah, and you know what? It's even more frustrating because he knew what he was walking into. He had just had his first draw ever, and it was against him. Why would you even think like, oh, now I can showboat? Like the only reason why it was a draw was because he knocked out Fury 3 times.
He tried the costume on, too. Don't act like you didn't know it was 40 pounds of metal.
Yeah.
Don't act like you didn't have a helmet that you didn't know how to take off with boxing gloves on. Come on. I'm getting all fired up here.
Oh, man. But yeah, so what do you think? So let me ask you this. Being that they are going to have the trilogy, what's your thoughts on that? I mean, do you think Wilder comes, evens the score? Maybe we see a 4th bout? Or do you think Fury just takes care of business as the last we see of Deontay Wilder?
I think Tyson Fury is going to take it to him. He's going to continue to put in work on Deontay Wilder, who's probably going to come up with an excuse that he twisted his ankle falling out of his horse and carriage on his way to the ring. Let's be honest here.
He needs to take
heavyweight champion. You're supposed to be the toughest guy in professional boxing, and you're out here making excuses because you're wearing a freaking costume.
Yeah, he should have took a page out of Fury's book and got carried into the ring. You saw Fury had 4 girls carry him in. He was up on this platform. They carried him all the way. He didn't walk. They carried him. He had a king's chair and he got carried into the ring.
They must have got these 4 chicks from WWE. That's a big boy. That's a big boy.
They're not afraid of the weight room, I can tell you that. They were fit. They might be doing some CrossFit. Maybe they were CrossFit competitors. I don't know. What I do know is that he didn't step down on the ground until he got in the ring. And that it conserved energy proved maybe not to be the difference, but it definitely helped because he had fresh legs.
Fresh legs, a full belly, primed with probably boneless chicken. Let's switch gears here.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's a recognition that I wanted to give. So there was a story. This also happened Saturday night. So there's a guy by the name of David Ayers. So he was a 42-year-old Zamboni driver for the Toronto Maple Leafs affiliate in the AHL League. He was forced into duty as the emergency goalie for the Carolina Hurricanes. So during the game, mind you, the Carolina Hurricanes are in a fight for a playoff berth, right? So they lost their number 1 goalie, lost their number 2 goalie. They call back to the locker room and tell this guy, hey, get dressed. We need you. So he ends up.
So you're telling me they pulled a 42-year-old washed-up scrub out of the stands,
he's playing the
and he came in and stonewalled the hometown Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah, so he ended up facing his hometown Maple Leafs. His first 3 shots on goal, he let in. He got in the second period, so he had a period and a half to kill.
Obviously, there were some butterflies.
Yeah.
He's a little nervous if he let in the first 3. But what happened after that?
So he ends up pitching a shutout in the third period. The team, the Carolina Hurricanes, end up winning the game. So now he's a huge story going around the United States. The Carolina Panthers made David Ayers Day in the state of North Carolina. They flew him from Toronto down there. They call it David Ayers Day. I think they gave him a key to the city. But yeah, man, it's just
This
a great
is
story. Feel good
fantastic.
story. Yeah, feel good story. This guy, he's just a zamboni driver for the AHL affiliate. So he's not even driving the zamboni for the NHL team. And he made, I think they said he made $500 for being the emergency goalie if he was to get into the game. He got in the game, pitched a shutout. So this is just a great feel good story.
$500, not a bad way to spend your Saturday night, earning your first NHL win. This is an incredible story, Byron. This kind of reminds me of that whole Mark Wahlberg Invincible movie, where he comes off the street to try out and make the Philadelphia Eagles football team. Ends up making it on special teams. It's fantastic.
Yeah, or even like Rudy. You know, yeah. Rudy was a walk-on. Everybody loved Rudy, but this is different. Rudy kind of.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna openly admit, live on the podcast, that I'm probably the only dude in America that hates Rudy. I hate that little shit.
Why is that, Mike?
He is such a punk, man. I don't like him.
Did you meet him or something? Did you?
No, just in the movie, I just don't like his face. You know what I mean? Like, just one of those guys, he just irks you when you look at him. Like, come on, coach. Put me in, coach. Come on,
coach.
You
know that wasn't the real Rudy. Ready, coach.
Yeah, I know. Thank God. Digressing back to the Zamboni driver.
Yes.
This is a great family story. This guy shows out, locks it down in the third period and stonewalls the Toronto Maple Leafs in his own hometown. Hockey needs this. The fans need this. Let's face it, the NHL isn't super high on league popularity lists.
No.
This is great for hockey.
Oh, absolutely. I know.
It kind of makes me want to believe I can continue living the dream. Maybe get called up to the majors if I can bum around I can bum around as a bullpen catcher in the Utica Baseball Professional League.
You're too old.
You're never too old, because this 42-year-old goaltender got pulled out of the stands and stonewalled the Toronto Maple Leafs. I just want to know if he zambonied the ice after the game.
No, because that was NHL. He does AHL.
Did you actually see him in there getting sprayed with all the champagne?
I did.
I bet you that guy partied hard that night.
Did you see his outfit, though? Like, he had on a blue and white, his helmet. He's got, like, stuff from the Maple Leafs. So he had on, like, a Maple Leafs helmet. His shin guards, nothing matched. He's legitimately a beer league goalie that got into an NHL game, and he got a win.
Can you imagine being this guy at Christmas time in another 10 or 15 years? When his grandkids are sitting around.
Oh man, he's
watching the Winter Classic, and then all of a sudden his wife's gonna go, your grandfather played in the NHL one time.
Saves. 8 saves.
8 saves on 11 shots. Shut him down.
Yeah, got the
Shut him down.
That's all that matters. He got
one win, 500 pesos. Fantastic for hockey.
Yeah.
You're listening to the Front Porch Tailgate. We're going to take a break, guys. We'll be right back.
Hi everyone. Make sure to follow the Front Porch Tailgate podcast on platforms like Spotify, SoundCloud, Radio Public, and Google Podcasts for all the latest episodes from B. Hayes and Big Mike. Also, don't forget to follow the podcast on Instagram and Facebook for analysis, podcasts, videos, and photos from the show. This message has been brought to you by the 5 o'clock shadow. Thanks for listening. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the podcast.
Welcome back to the Front Porch Tailgate. I'm Michael Scott here along with Byron Hazley. Byron, we're going to switch gears here. We're going to dribble into some NBA talk. The first thing I really want to talk about is the Ben Gordon article that came out the other day in the Players Tribune. Did you get a chance to see that?
Yeah, Mike, so I I did see the article pop up, and I think it's good that a lot of players are coming out and speaking about, the importance of mental health. They're talking about their struggles, kind of making themselves relatively vulnerable out here. They're talking about some things that a lot of people, especially in the black community, a lot of people don't talk about mental health. So I think it's good that you're seeing these people that are often seen as role models come out and talk about their struggles with mental health and how they're trying to attack it.
Definitely. Well, the article or the piece written by Ben Gordon in the Players Tribune was very, very unique. Right out of the gate, you could tell it gave you this eerie feeling. It was very dark. He basically talked about how he had lost his career, lost his family, and some of the struggles he started facing when he no longer was able to maintain an identity as a professional basketball player. Because when you think about it, these guys, they play their entire life. This is what they are. This is who they are. This is what they're all about. And when that all gets taken away, at whatever time it is that somebody tells them to stop or they decide to stop playing, more times than less, you see a lot of guys struggling with the transition. Not every one of them smart enough to set themselves up for a future after their playing career. And some of those guys really seem to slip through the cracks. And Ben Gordon's a perfect example of that. He struggled with mental health. And really, this whole thing, to me, it says, the early warning signs really, more times than none, get ignored.
No, absolutely, Mike. I think it's incredible. It's brave of these guys to come out and speak about it and I think it's more and more people coming out and they're kind of jumping on and saying, hey, I can talk about my struggles. And so I'm glad that more and more people are, because it's not just a handful of people that deal with it. Most people deal with some sort of mental health struggle. Everyone has things that they battle. They just deal with it one way or another, So it's good that these guys are coming out and talking about it.
Yeah, they need to be aware, because a lot of these guys are in denial. Because when those early warning signs really start, a lot of those guys are probably thinking, no, this can't be happening to me. And then before you know it, they're in too deep. It's a real slippery slope if they don't get the proper mental health care. I mean, one name that came to mind when I was reading this that I was thinking about was Antonio Brown.
Absolutely. Yeah, and you know what? I feel like he might be talking to someone now. He had that health evaluation when he was arrested, and it seems like he's figured some things out. He's come out and been very apologetic about some things that he's done. He's taken ownership of things that he's done. So to me, I think he might be talking to someone because he's really seems to be making a change.
Yeah, either that or he had a come to Jesus moment when he was sitting in jail. But he's really shown a lot of progress in the past few weeks ever since that incident went down. And at first I thought, this is just a gimmick. He wants to get back in the NFL. Well, then after that, I've kind of changed my tune on it, because he's continued holding himself accountable, making amends with people that he destroyed relationships with. He's even improved things with the mother of his children. And so, basically digressing back to Ben Gordon in the situation, any mental health help, if you need it, whether you're a professional athlete or whether you're Joe, the school bus driver, go out and get it, because it's not something to be taken lightly, especially in this day and age.
Absolutely not, Mike. There's resources out there. Go talk to someone. If you need to talk to somebody, go find them, talk to them.
Absolutely. And if you guys are afraid to go out there and talk to somebody, or afraid to tell your friends or your family that you need to talk to somebody, reach out to the Front Porch Tailgate Podcast at gmail.com. Write us an email, and we'll set you up with somebody. We'll help you out.
Absolutely. I know quite a few counselors myself. You can call them. One's my sister.
Absolutely. Which one? Which one?
Cassie, the one that was my
the
sister
one that was serving me shots of
serving you drinks at the Christmas party.
Serving me shots of flavored craft beer at the Christmas party, huh?
Yep.
Don't let that set you guys back because she's a great person.
Absolutely.
That was actually a game that was a game we were playing at the Christmas party. That's not her normal routine.
No. Not at all. She's not a big drinker at all.
Let's move on here. Let's talk about probably one of the hottest scorers in the NBA right now. We have these guys pop up every few weeks. Last month it was Damian Lillard. This month it's Bradley Beal and Jason Tatum. But let's talk about Bradley Beal. This guy has dropped 2 consecutive 50-plus point games. He's the first guy in the NBA to do that since Kobe Bryant. And still, his Washington Wizards managed to lose both games. Byron, what was your initial reaction watching these games?
To be honest, Mike, I feel bad for Bradley Beal. He's got to get out of there. The Wizards are going nowhere. They're going nowhere. That roster.
Let me tell you something. He better get comfortable because he just signed a 2-year, $71 million extension this past offseason, and he's stuck there till 2023.
Hey, we'll take him in Detroit. We'll send you Blake Griffin. You can have Blake and John Wall.
You can bet your bottom dollar we will do that. We'll give you everybody we got left, which I don't know if we have much left other than Reggie Jackson and a Powerade cooler.
But we don't have Reggie Jackson.
We got rid of him too?
Come on, Mike. He's with the Clippers. We talked about it last week.
Really?
They bought him out.
Oh yeah, you're right. Slipped my mind. Thank God. It was like a fire sale out there. There were so many guys coming and going, it was hard to keep track of. Let's be honest.
Yeah, all they have is Derrick Rose and Blake Griffin, and Blake's hurt.
And a Powerade cooler.
Yeah.
So Bradley Beal,
digressing back
in the
to
past
Bradley
2 games,
Beal.
He's got 13 3-pointers in the last 2 games. He's shooting 58%. He's the lone star on this Washington Wizards team. And he's uber talented, right? This guy is not a tier 1 player in this league. He's a tier 2 player, but let me tell you, he keeps putting up games like this. He's definitely going to be a marquee player in the NBA.
Absolutely. The thing with Bradley Beal is consistency. But man, he's been phenomenal over the past couple of games. And you know what the NBA did to him? After he dropped those 2 50 point games, good gosh, I can't talk today. What the NBA did to him, drug tests him.
They came in and tested him, huh?
Yeah.
I saw that. It's pretty funny. I mean, maybe it's a coincidence, maybe it's not. I guess you're just not allowed to go out and do Kobe-like things if you're Bradley Beal. Now, do you agree with J.R. Smith saying that Bradley Beal's the most underrated shooting guard in the NBA today?
It's close between him and Devin Booker.
Yeah, Devin Booker is fantastic.
It's close, but I feel like Booker gets more credit, so yeah, I would say Bradley Beal's the most underrated. Can you think of someone that's more underrated than him?
At the shooting guard position, probably not.
Yeah.
Probably not. So, this doesn't really surprise me at all, though. Bradley Beal is only 26 years old. He's really starting to come into his own. This is a guy that back in 2012 was a number 3 pick coming out of Florida. Byron, when he was coming out of Florida, did you expect this from Bradley Beal?
So I knew at the time he was actually known more for his ability to get to the rim. So I thought he would be more of a in the paint, drive the lane type scorer, but he kind of changed his game completely since he's gotten into the NBA. Really been lighting it up from beyond the arc, man, and he found his niche and he's thriving in it.
Well, I mean, it makes sense. He really, he plays normally with John Wall, who, has been in and out of the lineup for the past few years. Mm-hmm. But when John Wall's in that lineup, he's a ball-dominant guard. So Bradley Beal had to learn how to shoot the rock at some point.
Yeah, I mean, he could shoot a little bit at Florida. Don't get me wrong, I don't want to sell the guy short, but he was nowhere near the marksman that he is now. Now he's one of the top shooters in the NBA, I would say.
So now
and
he's
he
out
plays
there.
Both ends of the floor.
Both ends of the floor. He's only 26 years old, like I said. It's pretty exciting to see in the NBA. A lot of these younger guys really rising up now. I know a lot of them come in now at 19 years old with a semester of college under their belt. And a lot of guys make it and a lot of guys don't. It's nice to see, though, that with these guaranteed contracts in the NBA, these youngsters are able to stick around and hone their crafts over a period of time without having to look over their shoulder on a weekly basis. It really makes for good basketball up and down the entire league.
As long as you're a first rounder, absolutely. His second rounds aren't guaranteed contracts. But yeah, I agree, Mike. It's nice to see these guys. It's nice to see a nice success story because he was one of those guys who was only at Florida for 1 year, one and done, and he's kind of etched a name for himself in the NBA. He's a hard worker. He's a good shooter. He plays both ends of the court. So I really like Bradley Beal. He's someone that I'd love to see in the Pistons uniform.
Absolutely. Now, Bradley Beal, he's been lighting it up all season long. Now that he's scored these 2 games of 50-plus points, he's essentially on the map. ESPN's showing him a little bit of love. Do you see a trade market developing for Bradley Beal now that he's going mainstream?
I mean, I think there's always been a trade market for Bradley Beal. The teams just aren't. The Wizards won't give him up. They know what they have in Bradley Beal. They know how big of a potential star he could be, but they won't. They haven't agreed to trade him. They said they're standing by him. They've given him a ton of money. I think you said it yourself. He's got a 2-year deal worth $72 million. So he's making a nice chunk of change here staying in Washington. But I personally would love to see him go elsewhere.
Well, wherever he plays, maybe he can shell out a few pesos to us because we're giving him a lot of press here. Let's switch gears. Let's talk about the Milwaukee Bucks. Clinching a playoff berth with 25 games left to play this season. NBA record.
Yeah, Mike. So what were your thoughts on that?
Not surprising. The Bucks are led by, in my opinion, somebody that's the best player in the NBA. Giannis, like I mentioned a couple podcasts ago, has a talent that is really unmatched inside. I don't think we've seen a player as dominant in the paint as him since Shaquille O'Neal.
I wouldn't really, I don't know. Giannis is you can't really compare him to Shaq because he basically plays point guard for the Bucks. He brings the ball up the floor. Yeah, I wouldn't really say he's dominant like Shaq, because Shaq was a back-to-the-basket dominant type player. Like,
I guess I'm speaking more from a physical sense. Like, I'm speaking more from a physical sense. Like, you just can't stop him. This guy hasn't even tapped his full potential at this point, and the guy's averaging over 30 points a game. dominating on the boards, and single-handedly leading a team to the best record in the NBA, and potentially the all-time best record ever. Is this because there's a little parity in the East, or is this because Giannis is the real deal? Tell me about what you think, Byron.
There's very little parity in the East. I mean, I think they've got two sub 500 teams in the playoffs, and they're like 10 games under 500. So it's not, there's very little parity. There's a few teams that's very top heavy in the East. So, no, I'm not saying because he's that dominant. And I mean, they've already got 8 losses. There's no way they only lose 3 more games the rest of the year.
There's only 25 games left, Byron.
That's quite a bit. They're going to start resting those guys.
There's essentially a little more than a quarter of the games left, and they've lost 8 games. You're telling me right now, live, on air, that you don't think the Bucks can get the job done?
No.
These guys are 9-1 in their last 10.
And I tell you what, they're going to struggle if they run into Toronto in the playoffs.
Really?
I think, because they're...
Are you jumping on the Toronto bandwagon now?
I'm not jumping on the Toronto bandwagon, but again, I look at matchups, just like in football when I told you about the Chiefs, I'm telling you about Toronto. If they run up against the Bucks, it's going to be bad news for the Bucks because Toronto has the size to minimize what Giannis does.
They're a very lengthy team. Now, if you were, in fact, jumping on the Toronto Raptors bandwagon, it would make sense. They're 8-2 in their last 10 games. And that team, it seems to me like they've been playing with a chip on their shoulder all season long because people expected them to really fall off after Kawhi Leonard bought a ticket out of town.
Yeah, but let's not get too far ahead of ourselves here, because Toronto was a good team even without Kawhi, but they did have DeMar DeRozan. But they're a complete team. They've got a very solid roster, a lot of good depth, lanky guys. But I mean, I just don't think that's not a good matchup for the Bucks. I can tell you that. If they run into Toronto with Pascal Siakam, because Pascal is a lot like Giannis. But I think he might be stronger than him. He's just as lanky as him. So that's why I'm saying that's a bad matchup for them, because they've got someone that can go toe-to-toe with Giannis.
I think when you take a look at the Eastern Conference standings, you got the Bucks at number 1, the Raptors at number 2, the Celtics at number 3, and the Heat at number 4. Mm-hmm. After that, things seem to fall off a little bit. You got the Sixers, who've been very inconsistent all season long. They've now been hit with the injury bug. And then after that, it's really just chopped liver. I think those top 4 teams, honestly, any of them can make their way out of the East. I don't think Milwaukee is necessarily a shoo-in or a lock for an NBA Finals appearance.
No, I definitely don't think they're a shoo-in to. There's no shoo-ins to the NBA Finals this year. I can tell you that. But there's very little parity. I think there's probably 6 teams. I don't know. I don't know if I'd say the Pacers are a true contender. I would say 5 teams, if the Sixers are healthy, that can contend for the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, the Pacers are not contending for anything, okay? Sixers, they're not going to contend for anything. That team just can't get it together. They can't win on the road. They're 27-2 at home, 9-21 on the road. But let me tell you this, the Raptors, the Celtics, the Heat, those are all very, very well-coached and deep teams, and the Bucks are going to have their handful over there in Cream City.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. We will see what happens. They better hope they don't have to go to Toronto. That's all I'm saying.
We're going to take a break here. You're listening to the Front Porch Tailgate. When we come back, we are going to talk a little bit about the NFL Combine and Franchise Tag Day, which is looming. Stay tuned.
Do you think you have what it takes to get behind the mic on the Front Porch Tailgate podcast? If you have a take or want to appear on the show, make sure to email us at frontporchtailgatepodcast@gmail.com to book your appearance. As always, thanks for listening. Now, back to our show.
Welcome back to the Front Porch Tailgate. I'm Michael Scott along with Byron Hazley. We've talked a little bit at NBA. We've talked about goalies coming out of the stands, making miracles happen. And we talked Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury. Now we're going to talk a little bit of NFL action. Things really slow down, Byron, every single year after the Super Bowl for about 2 weeks. And then we start hearing about the NFL draft and start hearing about those trade rumors. And then after that, what comes up next, something I really love, and I get all excited for it, the NFL Draft Combine. Do you watch it, Byron?
So there's a couple parts of the Combine that I like to hear about. One, I like to hear about the measurements, specifically of quarterbacks. They always make the big deal about their hand sizes. So I like to see, all right, so which top quarterback are they going to pull down because they've got smaller hands? A few years ago it was Patrick Mahomes. This year it's Joe Burrow. You know, he made a little slide on Twitter talking maybe he'll consider retiring because of his small hands. You know,
got to take my hat off to Joe for his bold humor,
for his personality. Yeah, that's good though. You want to see that, you know. But then I like to see the bench press just because I think it's impressive to see the numbers of how much those guys can bench press, 225. Like you're talking about certain guys bench pressing 40, 50 times.
Yeah, that's pretty insane.
That's insane.
Maybe the NBA, instead of sending people to drug test Bradley Beal, should be sending people to help out at the NFL Combine, because some of those monsters are just yakking it up on the rack.
Absolutely. Yeah, Mike, so that's some of the pre-stuff that I like to look for within the Combine, and then once the Combine actually starts itself, there's one thing that I'm really looking at. It's probably what most people
What are you looking for?
Those 40 times, baby. I want to see who can move. Oh, yeah,
because speed kills.
Speed kills, man. I need somebody that can move. Every year, you know, this is when the Lions fans feel like champions. Who
You're getting a little excited about? You're getting a little excited about this because when I talked to you during the pre-show, you didn't even want to talk NFL Combine yet. Then you surprised me. You pull it out, and now I can hear you over there smiling about it.
I had a change of heart, Mike. I thought about it, and I said, you know what? Let's throw it out there. Let's have some fun with it. Because I do enjoy that 40-yard dash. And the best part about the 40-yard dash is seeing Rich Eisen run it in a full suit and dress shoes.
You know what, Lo? I got to tell you something right now. I don't think Rich Eisen is going to take the title this year for slowest guy on the field. Because there was another guy that came out last year, and he pulled out a really good race. His name is Adam Schefter. Did you see that?
Now, I've seen Schefter run before. It's not pretty. He's gonna run it this year.
He ran it last year. He's gonna run it this year. Now this guy, you know, when you talk about Adam Schefter running the 40 compared to some of these NFL players, that's like lining a Corvette up next to a 1993 Geo Metro. You go 0 to 60 in 3 weeks. That's what I'm going to be looking for this year out of the Combine, because all the other 40 times, all the measurements, all that stuff, all the video of it's going to be on NFL Network and ESPN all weekend, and it's all going to be posted online. Now, in all seriousness, though, who are some of the players you have your eye out for, Byron?
So I think I really like to see the receivers run, and I'm interested because I saw some scouts bashing Donovan Peoples-Jones. So he's a wide receiver out of the University of Michigan. Now, when he was in high school at the opening as a junior, he won the opening. So that's like one of the biggest. He came out as
the top-rated wide receiver recruit, right?
Top-rated player. He was a 5-star recruit coming out of high school. Yeah, so his junior year, he came out of the opening as the top-rated player. Like when you compared all the metrics, he was number one. And at that time, he ran a 4.3. I believe. So
wow.
And one of the scouts had something that said he was not very fast. So I'm interested to see this guy run because I want to see, because he doesn't seem that fast in pads. He's not a guy that you see blowing defenders away. So I'm interested to see his 40 time. Another guy I'm interested in seeing their 40 time is Jerry Jeudy from Alabama. And then I'm also interested in seeing what Chase Young runs for the 40, and also what's the cornerback from Okuda?
Jeff Okuda
from Ohio State. I'm interested in seeing his 40 time. What about you, Mike? What do you like? What do you like about the combine? We already know.
The thing I really like about...
What's your favorite part, and who are you looking for?
The thing I really like about the combine are the interviews, like the public interviews with the players and some of the stuff that gets done, behind the scenes, the film breakdown, all that stuff that comes out a lot later after the combine that you see videos of. They used to do it with John Gruden, so maybe they'll do it with Dan Orlovsky this year, specifically with all the quarterbacks. Now, so I love the 40, just like you. I want to see who's turning and burning out there. And I really got my eye on a few players this year, specifically players that could potentially go to the Detroit Lions. I'm really interested to see how Isaiah Simmons, the linebacker from Clemson, does. I want to see how he gets out there and competes against some of the other top marquee defensive players in college football.
I bet he's going to run about a 4.5, Mike. I got him marked in the 4.5 range.
Yeah, he might go out there and run a 4.5. Heck, he might even go out there and run a 4.9. No, I'm kidding. He's not running that fast. But I want to see the narrative and how everything plays out post-combine between Joe Burrow and Tua Tagovailoa. Redskins came out today, said they do have some interest in Tua Tagovailoa. They're going to bring him in for a visit. He's not doing too much at the combine because of that hip. He's still recovering. But he is going to be thrown at his pro day. And his stock is really starting to rise, especially now that some teams really are questioning Joe Burrow's 9-inch hand size, which isn't too large for a quarterback, and they're worried that those cold games in Cincinnati, the ball might slip out. Are you buying that, Byron? Is that something that really, really matters when picking an NFL quarterback?
I don't believe so. I mean, if you can wing it, you can wing it. I mean, Patrick Mahomes' hands were 9 1/4, so his hands are a 1/4 inch larger than Joe Burrow, and he's actually a guy that backed him once he jokingly sent that tweet out that he was considering retirement. Mahomes retweeted it and tweeted back at him, my tiny hands are doing just fine in the NFL. Hang in there.
Yeah, and you know as well as I do, because you're a huge Kansas City Chiefs fan. It gets pretty cold out there towards the end of the year. And
freezing.
Patrick Mahomes is out there carrying that thing around like a loaf of bread, just palming it and running with it.
Oh yeah, I mean,
I don't
like
know
I said, if you can wing it, you can wing it.
I don't know if the phrase "covering all points" or "tuck the ball" exists in Patrick Mahomes' world. I'm going to be completely honest.
I don't know about that. It's not like he's careless with the ball.
It's just going to be interesting to see. It's just going to be interesting to see how ESPN breaks down Joe Burrow's performance, because they are huge on Tua Tagovailoa. They have been, dating back to when he threw that game-winning touchdown in the national championship a few years ago off the bench. And, it's exciting because a lot of these storylines will have a direct impact on what exactly the Detroit Lions do with the third overall pick.
Yeah. Is there anyone else that you're going to be looking for, Mike?
Yeah, there's a couple other guys that I'm going to be looking for. Mainly Jonathan Taylor, Swift from Georgia, and J.K. Dobbins from Ohio State. I think these guys are all.
Good one.
I think these guys are all fantastic running backs, and I think the Lions are in dire need of a running back. They haven't had one that's decent since Barry Sanders at the turn of the century, and it's about time they get back up on that running game. And these guys are all probably going to be available in the second round.
I don't know about Dobbins, Mike, but I have heard that Taylor may slip into the second round. If he's there at 2.3, they better be picking up the phone and calling that man.
Well, with the, you know as well as I do, with these running backs, it's really all about what their 40 times come in at. J.K. Dobbins, he measured out yesterday, I believe, at 5'9". So he's a smaller guy, about 215, 220 pounds. Swift came in pretty small too. He measured in at just under 5'9", somewhere in the 5'8" range. Taylor was the only one at 5'10". I think the small stature is going to be a little bit of a durability concern, for teams throughout the league. But these guys can all pound the rock. Let's be honest.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, Mike, I don't think it's going to be that much of a concern because it's not like they're slight guys. Those guys are thicker guys. They're all 215 plus, so they're well built. They're stockier players. So if they put up decent numbers running the 40, they'll be all right. They run 4.5 or better, they'll be all right. I think that if any of them run in the 4.4s, it'll significantly help their draft stock.
Let me ask you this, Byron.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just going to ask you about Swift, actually, so why don't you lead us in?
Yeah, I was going to say, so I've heard some rumors that Swift may actually be one of the first running backs off the board. He might be going in the first round.
He really didn't do anything big this year at Georgia. The thing about Swift is he has a real nice skill set. He can do a lot of different things. He kind of reminds me of another guy a few years back, probably about 15 years back now, that came in the draft as the second running back out of Auburn, Ronnie Brown. That guy didn't have eye-popping stats either, but he went first between himself and Cadillac Williams and really didn't do too bad his first few years with the Miami Dolphins. No,
not at all. He was known for his Wildcat when he was in Miami. I remember him always being that goal line Wildcat guy, getting all those touchdowns, man. So yeah, Ronnie Brown was getting it done, man. Solid player.
So out of those three guys, who do you think has the best potential to actually have a solid career in the NFL?
I feel like I've been most impressed by, as a runner, J.K. Dobbins.
He's definitely a workhorse back you can give it to 30 times a game.
And he does it out of the spread, which is what a lot of the NFL teams are doing. So he can read a zone blocking scheme very well. But all three of them, I think, will do well in the NFL. I think Jonathan Taylor is going to be the best Wisconsin running back that we've seen in years. And I know you don't.
Even better than Melvin Gordon, huh?
I was going to say, I know you don't think very highly of Melvin Gordon. I think he's going to be the best
overrated.
One. Yeah, I think he'll be the best.
We're going to touch more on that here coming up, which basically allows us to segue into our next topic. Franchise tag day is looming. It's coming up. And we're going to take a look at the top non-quarterback free agents available out there on the market. And together we're going to try to decide whether or not to tag or not tag these individuals. So why don't you start us off, Byron? Why don't you tell us a little bit about what's going on with Jadeveon Clowney, outside linebacker, Seattle Seahawks?
Yeah, so Jadeveon, he's a free agent with Seattle. I think this is a guy that he should be tagged. I think he's a guy that should be tagged. I'm tagging Jadeveon Clowney. They've got Russell Wilson locked up, so they don't have to worry about tagging a quarterback. You know, this is a guy that they can kind of say, all right, let's prove it to us that you're worth it, and we'll pay you. I mean,
they did trade away.
They did trade, a first or right?
They traded a second-round pick.
A second? Okay.
Yeah, it's an interesting take that you got on Jadeveon, Byron, because if I'm the GM for the Seattle Seahawks, if I'm Pete Carroll, I'm saying, hey, let's let this guy go.
Really?
And I'm going to tell you why. If you take a look at the market value for a guy like Jadeveon Clowney at this point in his career, based off comparable salaries, comparable players with comparable stats, this guy's market value is sitting somewhere around the $20 million range.
Okay.
Per year. Now, don't get me wrong. Jadeveon Clowney gets me excited, right? I mean, you remember back to college when he put that hit on that running back from Michigan, picked that ball up barehanded, palmed it. Everyone in the draft got excited. I mean, this guy's a physical specimen. He's a freak. But I'm going to be honest, those physical gifts haven't necessarily translated to consistent on-field success at this point in his NFL career. He's been hurt at times.
Quite a bit.
And I think that's really played an effect not only on his production, but on his development as a player as well. Now, I firmly believe that Jadeveon Clowney's going to be a guy who's going to have like one or two monster years in the NFL. But I just think if you're the Seattle Seahawks at this point, you've already invested a second-round draft pick. The guy didn't do very much for you last season. I don't even think he got a sack once he got to Seattle. Now, you're talking about making either a long-term commitment, which is a risk, or committing $20 million to him next season, which is also a risk for a team that's got to get a lot better in the defensive secondary. So I'm letting him go.
Interesting. Yeah, he is often injured, Mike, but that's why I think you give him the tag. But you also have to remember he was tagged last year by the Texans, so this would be year 2 of the tag, so it would go up. So yeah,
and if I'm the Seahawks, I'm cutting my losses. He
Yeah,
didn't do anything for me last year.
He had 3 sacks.
Put a dirty hit on. He laid a dirty hit on somebody.
3 sacks, 4 forced fumbles. So
yeah,
not too shabby.
Not too impressive for a guy. Not too impressive.
Games.
Not too impressive for a guy that's willing to get $20 million with a franchise tag.
I hear you.
If I'm paying someone 20 million pesos, I want him double digits in sacks. Double digits. That's
all right.
That's the stand.
Okay.
To play ball on my football team.
All right. Good old Mike. All right, so let's move on to the next player here. So let's talk a little bit about Amari Cooper. So Amari Cooper's down there in Dallas. Are you tagging this guy or are you letting him walk?
You know what? I'm going to tag him. Dallas has got a new head coach. They're Super Bowl or bust. His market value is also coming in just below $20 million. He's got some comparable players in the $16 to $20 million range. Michael Thomas, Julio Jones, Mike Evans, Brandon Cooks. Now, he's not Michael Thomas, he's not Julio Jones, and he's not Mike Evans by any means, but he is Brandon Cooks. So if you can tag this guy and get him an average between those three guys for a 1-year prove-it deal after they lock up Dak before this deadline hits, I think you do it because you're going all in for that Super Bowl, like I said.
Yeah, we're going to disagree on this one, Mike. He's too inconsistent for me to give him the franchise tag. I'm going to let Amari Cooper walk. I know they gave up a first-round pick to get him, but I'm going to let Amari Cooper walk.
Let me ask you a serious question.
Sure.
Is Amari Cooper inconsistent, or was Derek Carr inconsistent in Oakland?
No, Amari Cooper was inconsistent. I believe he led the league in drops. A lot of people that are close to him or know him have said that the guy struggled with confidence. And you can see it in his play. He's inconsistent at best.
Not a bad take. Let's move on. Let's talk about your boy, Chris Jones, defensive line, Kansas City Chiefs. I know you're a big Chiefs fan, so why don't you give us the inside scoop on Chris Jones?
Yeah, so Chris Jones was actually one of the most impactful defensive linemen in the NFL this year. He was, for the most part with the Chiefs, he was the only person causing disruption for them.
Now this guy plays all over the line, right?
Correct. So he's kind of an interchangeable piece. He's kind of like a
Ndamukong Suh type.
Yeah, but he's tall though too. So he's probably 6'6".
Now does he play outside as well as inside?
He plays, yeah, he'll line up inside, he'll line up outside, but they play the 3-4, so he's kind of interchangeable in that defense. But yeah, he's definitely a guy that's known to get after the quarterback. He's starting against the run as well, and he's relatively young. I think he's about 26, so he's just coming off his rookie deal. So this is a guy, I would try to get a contract deal done with him. If it doesn't work out, I'm tagging him because they've got whoever they need locked up in KC. So I'm tagging this guy because I need him. He's an impactful player.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I'm not going to put up any argument at all. If Kansas City is going to continue doing and building upon what they did at the end of last year on defense, you need this Chris Jones guy on the field. I'm tagging him all day. I'm giving him the briefcase full of money. Let's get it going next year, baby.
Absolutely.
And that's about as much good as you're going to hear me say about the Kansas City Chiefs.
Good. I'll take it. I'll savor it. So let's move on to the next player here, Mike. Let's talk a little AJ Green. So AJ Green is a free agent with the Cincinnati Bengals. Most people know him. He's pretty much a household name. Very acrobatic. Came out the same year as Julio Jones, I believe. He was a top 5 pick in the NFL draft. So very talented, but often injured over the past few years. Are you franchising this guy, or are you letting him walk if you're Cincy?
If I'm Cincy, Byron, I am not tagging AJ Green. That is a no.
Couldn't agree with you more.
That's a hell no.
Yeah, I'm definitely letting this guy walk.
If you're the Bengals, you're starting a new era off this year. You got the first overall pick. You're going to go out and draft a quarterback. You're going to build a culture. You got a goofy young head coach who thinks he can do something. Why go out and pay a guy top value when he doesn't even want to be there?
Yeah, exactly. I think he's done with Cincy, so they should be done with him. Let him move on. Maybe he'll go to the Patriots and play with Tom Brady.
If you're the Cincinnati Bengals, you're pretty close to being in the same class as the Cleveland Browns and the Detroit Lions. You've been one of the worst franchises in football for forever.
Huh?
You're terrible. They had Marvin Lewis. They didn't win a playoff game for years.
Yeah, but they were there.
Well, you can be there. I don't know what your standard is for success in the NFL. Not winning a playoff game ever puts you in the same category for me as the Detroit Lions and the Cleveland Browns. Now, if you're the Cincinnati Bengals, you got to be progressive. Remaining conservative and trying to relive past glories with an aging, injury-prone receiver is a huge mistake at this point. You got to move on. You got to draft a newer, younger version and use the money that you're going to save to help your team get better overall this season with your rookie quarterback.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. You got to turn the page here and let this guy go.
Patriots will take a flyer on him.
Maybe if they can bring Tom back. But all right, so let's move on to the next guy.
The Patriots, they're going to go out and pick up somebody like Ryan Tannehill.
We'll see.
And they're going to pick up A.J. Green, and they're going to make a run at the Super Bowl.
Nah, they're not making a run with Ryan Tannehill.
Bill Belichick is the real deal.
Okay, he can't play quarterback.
You got a guy that didn't start at quarterback since high school to take a team to the playoffs.
All right.
His name was Matt Castle.
All right.
Look him up.
Okay.
Let's talk Derrick Henry.
Yeah, so let's talk to the next player here. Let's talk about Derrick Henry. If you're the Titans, are you franchising Derrick Henry or are you letting him walk?
Yes, I'm franchise tagging Derrick Henry without a doubt. Other than Christian McCaffrey, he's the best running back in the league last year. What about you, Byron?
Yeah, I don't know.
Are you speechless on this one? You're confused? What's going on over there?
Well, I'm a bit confused by you saying he was never mind. All right,
Go back.
No, because I don't want to get into it. We can talk about that at a later date. This is not the time.
You think he was better than Christian McCaffrey?
No. I think there were other running backs that were better than him.
So let me ask you this: what bum last season was better than Derrick Henry or Christian McCaffrey?
I think that Ezekiel Elliott was better than Derrick Henry. If you're talking game 1 through 16, he was better. Derrick Henry caught on probably the last 8 games and into the playoffs, but he had a slow start to the season.
Ezekiel Elliott didn't even exist in half the games for the Dallas Cowboys. Derrick Henry is the sole reason that team even sniffed the playoffs last year. You were really taking Zeke Elliott's performance last season over Christian McCaffrey or Derrick Henry?
Over not Christian McCaffrey, absolutely not, but over Derrick Henry, absolutely. If you're talking about the full season, yeah, I mean, if you... That's why I said I didn't want to get into this. That's why I said I didn't want to get into this.
Zeke's a nice running back. Skill set, I'd take him all day. But let me tell you this. Last season, he wasn't better than Derrick Henry. And if you don't believe me, Madden Football will tell you next year.
Okay. Well, Madden Football is not my baseline. If anything, look up Pro Football Focus and then talk to me. But anyway,
Madden
digressing
football.
back.
We know what happened last time you looked up Pro Football Focus.
Digressing back. Derrick Henry, I am trying to get an extension done with him. If I cannot, then I'm tagging him.
Yeah, I'm going to tag him. The reason is, Byron, his track record isn't very long. For me, really, as a GM, you need another year of top performance before you can guarantee him some long-term money. Let's face it, these massive running back contracts, they've crippled franchises throughout the years. And you need to know if you're going to build on last season and go back to the playoffs before you dish out that paycheck and that big-time money. So I'm tagging this guy.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely agree there. So, all right, so let's talk another player. We know we mentioned him earlier, but really let's dive into him. So let's talk about Melvin Gordon. So he's a free agent. He held out this year, but he ultimately showed up and played for the Los Angeles Chargers. So if you're the Chargers, you've seen this guy. He's shown that he doesn't necessarily have to be there. So what are you doing if you are the LA Chargers? Are you tagging this guy or letting him walk? Keep in mind you don't have a quarterback right now.
I'm letting him walk. You know why? Because I'm going out and I'm drafting a quarterback, and I don't need a tier 2 bum who had a bad season last year after sitting out, getting paid $20 million on my football team. Listen, Melvin Gordon, I'll take it back. He's not a bum. He's a nice player. He's got a respectable game, but he's overrated. Has he even ever rushed for 1,000 yards in a season?
I don't think so. Maybe once.
So you're telling me that you go out there, how many games did he sit out?
I think he sent out 4.
Let's pull this up. We're going to take a look.
Okay.
Because I'm about to slam this guy. I just need to know something. This guy ran for 612 yards last year. Played in 12 games, so you're right, he sat out 4. He averaged 3.8 yards a carry. Now, this guy did get into the end zone a little bit, scored 8 touchdowns. But the big thing with him is he also catches the ball out of the backfield. But he really doesn't go for a lot of yards when he does that. This is a guy I just can't give him the money, Byron.
Can't do it?
Can't give him the pesos. Not on my team, because on my team, there's a standard of excellence. And if we're going to be a championship football team, we don't need a guy getting paid $20 million that was ranked 32nd in the NFL last year in yards and 38th in yards per carry. Melvin Gordon, your best days are behind you. You were great at Wisconsin. You were great for 1 year, the year before last season. But really, you haven't done anything that makes me want to give you 20 million pesos. And I take it back. He did hit 1,000 yards one time back in 2017. 1,100 yards.
Yeah,
Other than that, he's been extremely marginal throughout his career from an all-around production standpoint.
I would agree with that, Mike. If I'm the Chargers, I'm not franchising him, to be honest with you. I can't do it. He's too much of a liability.
47 touchdowns in 5 years. What's that average out to? 8 touchdowns?
Which is not bad.
Not bad, but not worth $20 million in the franchise tag money that comes with it.
He's been in the NFL 8 years?
No, 5 years.
How many touchdowns?
He's got total between receiving and running, he's got 47 in 5 seasons.
Well, that's over 9. 9.4. So I'd take that from any Lions running back.
He's also got 14
But I don't want him.
He's also got 14 fumbles.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't want him. But I'm just saying, I would take those kind of scoring totals from a Lions running back.
Right, I agree with you. You'd love those scoring totals. Hell, you can go out and get LeGarrette Blount to do that for $530,000.
We tried. It didn't work out. Anyways, digressing back, I think we're both in agreement here. Yeah, we're in agreement here.
He's getting the Eddies if he's trying to get tagged on my team.
Melvin Gordon, see you later, buddy. Good luck on the open market.
Send him to the club. We're going to take a break here. You're listening to the Front Porch Tailgate. When we come back, Byron is going to break down some NCAA basketball for us. We're going to talk a little bit about the SEC conference and where they're headed come tournament time. Stay tuned.
Hi everyone. Make sure to follow the Front Porch Tailgate podcast on platforms like Spotify, SoundCloud, Radio Public, and Google Podcasts for all the latest episodes from B. Hayes and Big Mike. Also, don't forget to follow the podcast on Instagram and Facebook for analysis, podcasts, videos, and photos from the show. This message has been brought to you by the 5 o'clock shadow. Thanks for listening. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the podcast.
Welcome back to the Front Porch Tailgate. I'm Michael Scott, and I'm here with Byron Hazley. Byron, it's that time once again this week for you to let us know what's going to be happening with the big dance coming out of the SEC conference. Break it down for us, Byron.
Absolutely, Mike. Happy to do so. So we've got the Southeastern Conference, not necessarily known as a basketball power, but that is the home conference of one of the blue bloods in all of college basketball, which is the University of Kentucky. So the Wildcats are sitting on top of the Southeastern Conference. They're 2 games up on the competition with 3 to go. They've won 7 games straight. 15-1 at home, 7-2 on the road. So they're having a heck of a year. They're 23-5, ranked 8th in the country. So they're having a heck of a year. And I thought they'd be a good team coming out of the Champions Classic when I saw them knock off the number 1 ranked team at the time, my Michigan State Spartans. So that's coming to fruition. We're seeing them be very competitive this year. They're 13-2 in the conference. Number 2 in the conference, another top 25 ranked team, the Auburn Tigers. So they were in the Final Four last year. They actually, was it the Final Four or the Elite Eight? The Final Four. They missed a shot to beat Virginia in order to advance to the national championship game.
So this was a team that was a shot away last season.
They were a shot away last year. They're a defensive-minded team. They really get after you. They're remember Bruce Pearl? He used to be on ESPN.
Yeah.
He's the coach at Auburn now. So he's a rowdy guy.
I see his old Tennessee Volunteers hanging around down there at 7-8 right now.
Absolutely. So the Auburn Tigers are 11-4, 24-4 overall in the season. Haven't played the toughest schedule, but they're a solid basketball team. They'll definitely be in the tournament along with the Wildcats. Then we have 2 teams at 10-5 in the conference. That's the LSU Tigers and the Florida Gators. So LSU is 19-9 overall, and the Florida Gators are 18-10. I fully anticipate both those teams getting in to the NCAA tournament. 2 teams that I may consider on the bubble here. They're going to need to win a couple of games in their conference tournament to ensure that they make it. Is the Mississippi State Bulldogs, also sitting at 9-6 along with South Carolina, the Gamecocks. They are 9-6 in the Southeastern Conference. Mississippi State's overall record is 18-10, and South Carolina's is 17-11. So they're going to need to get at least 1 conference tournament win, if not 2, to ensure that they're in the NCAA tournament. Once you get around those double-digit losses, that's when you start becoming a fringe bubble team. So be on the lookout of those double-loss teams. Then you've got Texas A&M. They're 1 game above 500 overall, 1 game above 500 in the conference, sitting at 8-7 and 14-13 respectively. Then we've got the Tennessee Volunteers, a very senior-laden team last year. They were in the top 10 all season, pretty much last season, but a lot of those guys have moved on to the NBA and playing overseas, and you can see the struggle this season, again, sitting at 7-8 in the conference, 15-13 overall. Then we've got the Alabama Crimson Tide. They have a first-year coach. They just got rid of Avery Johnson last season, I believe, after the end of last season. They're sitting also at 7-8 and 15-13 overall. They're going to need to make a run. Any of these teams, you're sitting 14-13, 15-13. You're going to need to make a run in your conference tournament in order to make it into the NCAA tournament.
Let me stop you for a second, Byron.
Okay.
Avery Johnson has really fallen far in basketball circles.
Really? Why do you say that?
That was a guy who was the coach of the future for the Dallas Mavericks at one point. Now he got fired from Alabama.
Yeah.
There'll be a nice Patriot Conference job out there for him soon. But sorry to cut you off. Let's dive back in. We're talking Diamond. Arkansas Razorbacks.
Yeah, so the Arkansas Razorbacks, this team might actually get in, but they have to prove that they're worthy because they have absolutely been getting bombed in the Southeastern Conference. So they're sitting at 6-9 in the conference, but 18-10 overall. So they came into conference play with only one loss. And
so they were at 17-1?
No. So they
were
13
and 1.
They were at 12 and they were at 12-1. They're 18-10 now.
Now I feel stupid.
We know
I can't count.
That's why you wanted to be a writer, Mike. That's why you got to stick to writing. That's all right. You'll be all right, buddy.
I actually maintain good averages in math too, but I guess when it comes to the simple math, right off the top of the head, I'm really struggling today.
No worries here. That's why there's two of us. So again, this is a team that actually has a shot at getting in the tournament. So I would say, like the Missouri, they're not getting in. They're sitting at 500. Georgia, unless these teams win the conference tournament, they're not making it in. So Georgia, they've got one of the top talents in the NBA or in the supposedly coming out into the NBA draft. His name's Anthony Edwards. Love to see him in a Pistons jersey, but he is not looking like he's going to lead his team into the NCAA tournament. They're sitting at 14.
Not a very good team. I watched him a few weeks ago. I watched him last weekend. Tried to watch him, I guess. I didn't see Anthony Edwards out there doing much. Maybe he was taking a break when I was watching. It wasn't for very long, but these guys look like a bunch of bums out there. It was terrible. I thought I was watching the Port Huron Northern JV basketball team.
Take it easy. All right, so
when you played, Byron.
Hey, we had a good squad. Don't be hating on us. Don't be hating on us, Mike. Take that back. Anyways, so the Georgia Bulldogs, this is the first season, I believe, for Coach Tom Crean. He's back on the sidelines, roaming the sidelines. He runs a little bit hot, but he is a great recruiter, so I envision him loading up over the next couple of years with talent. He's kind of talent deprived right now outside of Anthony Edwards. So, once he gets himself some more talent, I think this team will be better, but this is not his season. Old Miss Rebels, they're 13-15. Haven't seen them really do anything since they had that one guy. I can't remember. I know his name was Marshall something. He was a shooter, man. I remember seeing him a few years back. He was exciting to watch, talking trash. You probably don't.
But clearly not worth remembering.
Yeah, I mean, he never went to the NBA or anything. He was like a 6-foot white dude that would shoot from like 35 feet and talk trash to whoever he was playing. He was great.
He also sounds like he played for the Port Huron Northern JV basketball team.
Not for Northern.
When you played there.
Not for Northern Marysville or St. Clair. And then falling in the gutter here, we've got Vanderbilt. They're sitting at 1-14 in the conference, 9-19 overall. So they too are having a very rough year and need to ultimately win the conference in order to make it to the NCAA tournament. So
it's hard to be a good basketball team when you're getting kicked out of the gym every night so the baseball team can come in and do their practice.
No, they've got their own facility. You're talking about big time facilities here, man. Especially with Vanderbilt baseball, they're not sharing anything. But digressing back here, so I think safely we can say, I would say they get 6 teams into the tournament. Well, 5 for sure. Maybe 6. And those 5 are Kentucky, Auburn, LSU, Florida. I think Arkansas sneaks in there. And then, if they're lucky, maybe Mississippi State or South Carolina. So, yeah, 5 or 6 teams. I think 5 for sure. And then you'll get the 6. from somewhere.
See, from what I'm looking at here, Kentucky Wildcats, they're going in. Team could make a run in the tournament. Auburn Tigers could get hot, just like last year, playing with Bruce Pearl, could get down to the last shot. Now, the team that really stands out to me, that I really think is a big pretender, is the LSU Tigers. This is a team that is 0-3 against AP and USA poll teams. They don't look very good, in my opinion.
Agreed, Mike. However, you have to account for the fact that this team they're big. So if they make it to the NCAA tournament and they like to run and they're a defensive-minded team. So you got to think most teams only have 2 to 3 days, some teams 4 days to prepare for the matchup. So when you're operating on the fly, you don't have a ton of time to prepare for it. You're not playing these teams every week. You know, they can make some noise. I think last year this team was in the Sweet 16.
Well, maybe they'll come out and shock the world. Do you have anything else on the SEC conference for us, Byron?
No, I think they've got one team I would say they've got two teams that are true contenders that we can say have a shot at winning the national title. That's Kentucky and Auburn. Anything can happen with them. The other teams are kind of welcome to the dance. We'll see you next year.
So, now that we're done with the SEC, I think that just leaves us with our final take for the day, right?
Absolutely. So, yeah, we'll pivot into the final take, Mike, and I will open that up to you for our final take.
Thank you. All right, so quick change of plans here. I was going to do my final take on Dak Prescott. Mike McCarthy came out today, said that this quarterback is very impressive and that despite the fact defenses get you championships, quarterbacks win championships, and he definitely thinks Dak Prescott is that quarterback. Now, all I'm going to say about that really is last year he went a combined 1-6 against playoff teams, throwing 8 interceptions compared to 8 touchdowns. I'm not going to just crush his soul right now because I got something better. So, today, Tim Tebow announced via his Twitter account that he will be competing for his native Philippines and facing the world's best in the upcoming World Baseball Classic.
I'm sorry. Philippines?
He was actually born in the Philippines. Yep. His family's a bunch of ministers. They were on a mission trip, I believe, and he was born in the Philippines.
Wow.
Now, Timmy Tebow is going to go up against the world's best competing for the Philippines in the World Baseball Classic. And let me tell you, I hope they bring him a tennis racket because this guy is going to get carved up when he faces that off-speed pitching. We're talking about the world's very best pitchers when we're talking World Baseball Classic. How do you think he's going to fare, Byron?
Well, Mike, one thing that I would like to remind you is that the World Baseball Classic takes place relatively early. So a lot of pitchers' arms aren't up to mid-season form at the time. So that could give him an opportunity
Yeah,
to hit some balls out of the park.
Tell that to Japan. Tell that to Japan and Cuba, who get shot if they don't win the World Baseball Classic. You know how it goes down in those authoritarian style countries. Now, I'm not 100% serious that they get shot, but they definitely face some serious repercussions if they don't perform to top level. And let me tell you, they're not going to disgrace an entire nation by letting Tim Tebow take them downtown in the World Baseball Classic. Tim Tebow, I'm going to be honest. Guy can go out there. He's very impressive on a football field from a leadership standpoint. He's a powerful speaker. The guy looks great anytime he wears a suit. But he can't play football, quarterback in the NFL. And the other thing he can't do is hit a curveball in Major League Baseball. Now, he was out there today playing spring training against the Detroit Tigers. Mm-hmm. And he took one deep.
Yeah. Yes.
Riley Green, 19-year-old rookie, first rounder for the Tigers, also hit one deep. But let me tell you, against the world's best, this guy is going to get carved up like a Thanksgiving turkey. Get this guy a tennis racket. It's going to be worse than Jordan out there. And that's all I'm going to say about that, because he doesn't deserve any more time from me when we're talking Tim Tebow, the World Baseball Classic. With that being said,
there you have it, folks. Mike with the final take.
God, it pisses me off that he's even invited to the tournament.
Well, he shouldn't be at spring training. It's a publicity stunt to get people in seats.
He shouldn't even be playing baseball. He's better as a college football analyst.
Well, there's an off season for that, right? So.
With that being said, I'm Michael Scott.
And I'm Byron Hazley.
And you've been listening to the Front Porch Tailgate. Have a great weekend.
Be blessed.
Hey sports fanatics, you've been listening to the Front Porch Tailgate, presented by the 5 o'clock Shadow. If you enjoy what you're listening to, make sure to follow this podcast on platforms like Spotify, Radio Public, SoundCloud, and Google Podcasts for hot takes, podcasts, and more. Also, make sure to help spread the word and share your favorite episodes across social media with all your friends. Thanks for listening. Until next time, have a great day.